Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back again, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most legendary rap groups to ever touch the underground scene, going by the name of Flatbush Zombies. Now, if you were to tell me that you've never heard of these guys before, I would both be surprised as well as not that surprised at the same time, as they kind of skirt that line between being underground and mainstream. Although a lot of their mainstream success happened over half a decade ago at this point, and that's not to say that they fell off by any means, but they've simply retracted back into the underground, continuing to do their own thing, but never really reaching the same heights that they did back in the day. But even if you don't necessarily recognize the name, you've definitely heard a couple of their songs, with the biggest they have being Thug Waffle as well as Palm Tree Music, which is a track that I used to listen to a lot when I was in high school and I never even realized that it was them. However, if you're still in the dark, let me give you a little bit of backstory on these guys. The group is comprised of three artists going by the name of Eric the Architect, Meek, and Zombie Juice, which is going to be the guy that we're mostly focusing on today. All three of them come from the Flatbush area of Brooklyn, which is where they got their name. The zombie part of things apparently came from their love of zombie movies. However, I've also heard people say that they came up with the name when they were on a shroom trip, apparently seeing themselves as walking zombies, or everybody around them was walking zombies, something of that nature. And of course, all the psychedelics that they were taking really influenced their style. In fact, they were some of the earliest artists to start doing this type of sound. After initially popping off in early 2012 with the viral video for their track Thug Waffle, they ended up dropping a flurry of mixtapes, starting off with Drugs and Better Off Dead, before then collaborating with another underground hip hop group called the Underachievers, creating a project called Clockwork Indigo, which is still one of their most popular mixtapes to this day. After that, they would continue to drop 1 to 2 mixtapes a year until about 2016, with releases becoming a little bit more infrequent in the following years. But despite that, they still definitely have legendary status in the underground scene and have even worked with some big name artists like Joey Badass as well as ASAP Rocky and the rest of the mob. So needless to say, when I found out that one of the members of the group is actually scamming his own fans on features, I was pretty surprised. Yeah, that's right, boys, we're doing another scam video. Usually I wouldn't do this, but considering how big and legendary these guys are and the fact that they're still doing shit like this, I had to speak on it. Because after all, nobody likes a scammer. But you know what's even worse than being tricked out of your hard-earned money by some scumbag online is having that very same scumbag call you non-stop and flood your inbox with spam emails, both annoying you at home and frustrating you at work. And this is something that most of us accept as an unavoidable annoyance in life, but what if I told you there was a way to stop it? Have you ever wondered how these people even get your phone number in the first place? Well, it turns out that there's people called data brokers whose sole job is finding your personal information online and selling it to these annoying spam callers. And even worse than that, they make billions while doing it. And they do all of this without your knowledge or consent. However, there is a way to fight back by simply asking them to stop. However, just like most things in life, it's easier said than done, and the process is made purposely difficult in attempts to prevent people from trying. And that's where today's sponsor comes in, Aura. They take care of the hard part by automatically removing all of your personal information off of these sites, and not only that, but they keep it off, which not only protects you from further scam calls, but can actually protect your identity online from hackers and cyber stalkers. And since I've started working with Aura, they've actually helped me out a lot in my personal life, as right now I'm both taking online classes and running my YouTube channel, meaning my inbox gets pretty full, and I need all the space I can get. And now thanks to Aura, my email is no longer being filled up with annoying spam mail that I never signed up for and is doing nothing but filling up my already packed inbox. But that's not all, because Aura does so much more, including giving you alerts if your personal information is found on the dark web, real-time fraud alert for credit cards and banking, 24/7 monitoring to help keep your identity secure, a secure VPN, antivirus, password manager, and even more. And on top of that, they have a US-based support available around the clock if something does go wrong, with over $5 million of fraud protection. So sign up today by using my code aura.com/twistedworld to get a 14-day free trial and start taking your online security seriously today. Thank you to Aura for sponsoring the video, and without further ado, on to the main topic. So everything pops off in early 2024 with an underground artist going by the name of EW asking for a feature from one of the members going by the name of Zombie Juice. He says, "How much for a feature, my dude? I'm packing an experimental project with features. I got Trippy the Kid, AFRO, Little West to name a couple so far." And then he responds by saying, "Usually I do 2,000. And holy shit, $2,000 is definitely a lot for a feature, but considering the legendary status of the Flatbush Flatbush zombies. If you're getting all three of them on there, I guess that'd be worth it, although I think this is only just for the one member. Putting myself in this guy's shoes for a moment, the only way I could ever see myself paying that much for a verse is if I was going to get a music video out of it, or if they were going to share it on their main page, because then it might be worth it for the promotion. However, even then, I'm not really sure. I've said it once before and I'll say it again. If you have $2,000 that you're willing to put into music, don't buy a feature from a random artist. Instead, put that into promo and it will probably pay off a lot more. Juice continues on by saying, "What's the budget, playa?" He responds to that by saying, "Most I've spent on a verse is $600, mostly doing 8 bars per feature for sake of budget and packing in as many as possible. I'm getting a bunch of local dudes I fuck with in here, so I'm trying to save a lot of room. A lot of the features been sending me 16s, trying to do me a favor, I think, but it really makes it easier to have an 8 in there too. I dig it, I dig it. But yeah, I could probably swing 400 to 500 in a short bit if you let me rearrange a couple weeks." And it seems like Juice is okay with that price compromise, because he goes on to send his Cash App saying, "Send the vocals to the email right here. 8 bars isn't too bad." And yeah, $500 for 8 bars is definitely a pretty good deal. If I could do that, I'd be pumping out features every single day of my life. After that, a couple weeks go by and he says, "Can I pay you today?" But he doesn't get a response. So the next day he goes on to say, "Just let me know. Got you whenever." He says, "You have my number?" "No, sir. I got your Cash App and email." Juice responds by saying, "Got you," and then he sends the number. "Let me know when you send." Now keep in mind he hasn't actually paid Juice any money yet, meaning that it doesn't really matter how much time passes between their interactions. Once the money is handed over, you got to be more responsive and make sure to keep in touch with somebody, because after all, if you owe them something, you got to get it back to them. But at this point, there's been no deal that's been made, no money is transferred hands, so all the time going by really doesn't matter. In fact, March, April, and May all pass by. It's now June, and he goes on to say, "Yo, yo." He says, "What's the word? Looking for some good news, lol. Did you ever pick a beat?" So apparently when he got Juice's email, he ended up sending him a couple different beats. Most likely because he wants to make sure that he actually fucks with the music that he's making before he decides to actually pay him the money, which is kind of a good idea, although sometimes bigger artists will ignore you if you're asking for too much up front before you give them any money. And I'm not really looking at that as good or bad. After all, time is money, so they can't really spend a whole lot of time fucking around with artists who may or may not pay them. But at the same time, I understand that smaller artists want to make sure that the person actually fucks with the music that they're making, so they don't half-ass the verse. However, I'm sorry to say, when you're paying somebody for a verse, 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to shit it out. They probably don't really give that much of a fuck about it and aren't really giving their best effort, which is sad to say, but that's how people kind of operate. Juice responds by saying, "Thank you for reminding me. I think I may send you cash back. I really need at least $1,000 low key. Word, I understand, man. Let me double check what I sent you so far." And it actually turns out that apparently he sent him money all the way back in February, being $400, before then sending another $350 in May, which is a pretty big gap in between, but that all totals up to $750, which definitely isn't a small amount of money by any means. And I was also wrong about him not paying Juice initially, so all of these months going by without any response is kind of disrespectful, I'm not gonna lie. And on top of that, $750 is actually more money than they initially agreed on, so he should definitely be delivering on that feature. But it seems like the other artist is a big enough fan of Juice that he's willing to pay even more money if it means securing that feature, because he goes on to say, "Do you want me to send it back, or do you want me to send another $250 this upcoming Thursday?" And dude, please do not do this. If you've already sent $750 and haven't got a response for 3 months, do not send another $250. After all, 1,000 for 8 bars is not worth it, I'm sorry to say. And Juice wants even more money than that, because he goes on to say, "If I gave you a demo of mine, do you think you could come up with another $1,000? And I mean, come on, dude, you're really gonna ask for another $1,000? Like, every average person has 2K to throw away on a feature. I don't know why these big artists always lose touch with reality. I mean, maybe he's had big money for too long and he doesn't realize how much 2K really is. And I'm sorry to say, dude, you're really not as big as you used to be a couple years back, so I don't think it's worth all that money for a simple demo from you." And the artist actually ends up turning it down, saying, "I'm gonna be real with you, man. I very rarely got 1,000 in my account. I was able to send you what I sent you because I cashed out all my vacation time, and honestly, that hurts my soul, man. This guy literally took all of his vacation pay out to pay for this feature, and Juice is still keeping him hanging. There's absolutely no way that he's going to be able to recoup all the money that he spent on this album, and at this point, I just feel bad for him." Juice goes on to say, "Alright, all 3 tracks are dope. Scary Face is the one I'll probably end up doing." He then goes on to try to get even more money, saying, "Can you do $500 for Thursday?" He says, "250 be my max this week. I'm paying graphic designers and animators and all kind of shit right now, dude, but I could do another 250 the next week if need be. And honestly, at this point, I would simply ask for the money back and put it all into the animations and graphic designers, because an animated music video is going to get you a lot farther than a random feature with an artist who hasn't really been that relevant in at least the last couple years. He goes on to say, can I ask what changed with the price, my guy? In with that plan, I was trying to get a good price, but I never went that low. Even just now, I had a kid pay $3,000. And honestly, the way he says that sounds very scummy, calling him a kid, basically saying, usually I can get more money out of my fans, but you're not paying as much as I'm used to, so honestly, I'm not even gonna do it. He says, I'll send that first 250 Thursday, think I'll be able to hear a rough soon. He says, sounds like a plan, and then he goes on to send the 250. So at this point, we're up to $1,000. Holy shit, he really needs to deliver on that feature, because that's a massive amount of money to throw away on nothing. After that, he doesn't get a response for another month, and he goes on to say, what's the word, man? He says, I just can't get the bars how I want with the theme. You're still certainly welcome to do Icky, and if it's easier to keep theme, feel free to break up and just leave space every couple of few bars. I'm more than happy to fill them in. Love to write things in between pre-existing bars, actually. He responds, Icky, let me see. And honestly, for $1,000, I really don't care if you can't get the bars right. You gotta figure it out. Imagine if you paid somebody $1,000 to fix your roof and they're like, hey man, I can't really get the shingles in the right place. I'm not really feeling the vibe today, so I'm not gonna do it. Sorry. You would never let somebody like that get away with it, but when it's an artist, people often say, whatever, I'm a big fan, so it's okay that they took my money. It really isn't. After that, no response until August. He says, what's up? Nothing yet. Been clouded trying to finish this album real quick. I feel you, man. Anything I can do to help it move along at all? It's 8 fucking bars, man. You can seriously get it done. I mean, come on. I mean, at this point, dude, send me the song. I'll put 8 bars on it and I won't even charge you anything at all. I mean, come on, dude. It's not that hard to do. He then goes on to say a couple days later, I might have to send the cash back. I'm so flooded with so much right now. He says, I mean, I feel you, man. Maybe we can match up better another time. Here's my cash app if that's what we got to do. But for some reason, he doesn't end up sending it back, and then he doesn't respond for another 4 days. He said, what's the word, man? Next week after the holidays, I should have a check to settle, yeah? After that, another 18 days go by. It's almost been a year at this point. He says, yo, yo. He says, you're trying to figure it out for you, just going through a rough patch. Really not sure how hard it is to send $1,000 back to somebody. Don't really care if you're going through a rough patch. If somebody pays you to do something, you got to do it. But it seems like this guy really wants that feature. So he says, and you for sure can't do either beat. I take half a verse at this point, or even a repost from you if you want. You can even do every other line and I'll go back and make it rhyme. Could be a fun challenge, lol. I mean, I feel you, man. You definitely want to get this feature because after all, you've always looked up to him. But at this point, you got to realize that your hero might be a scumbag and try to get that money back. After that, he doesn't get a response until October. He says, realistically, when should I hit you back about this? He says, yo, yo. 6 days later, he says, hey, my bad for the absence. Just got to finish this show today and then I'll be back on it. Thanks for the patience. I don't know who said he was having patience, but whatever. Apparently he actually did. He says, word, sounds good, man. I'll holler next week. Be safe out there, my guy. October comes to an end. It's now November. He says, yo, what's good, man? I don't know if I can make it happen low key. Just too busy right now. He says, right. So I thought we were going to do a refund. If you want to try to do something else, like help promote some shit throughout the year, that'd be dope. I take a couple reposts every month for real, like 2 a month. What do you think about that? And come on, bro, that is extremely generous of him. All you gotta do is repost his songs a couple times a month and you get $1,000 for it. Holy shit, I wish I was a big artist because I would be taking absolutely every opportunity I was given. He says, can we please figure this out? He says, Zelle info. I think I have that, 1 sec. He goes on to send Zelle. I can't get Zelle, but I have Cash App and PayPal and Venmo. I'm gonna see if my sister has Zelle and I'll be back. Why the fuck do you need Zelle? It doesn't really even make sense. He ended up paying you on Cash App. Can't you send the money back on the same app? I mean, I'm not American, so I'm not really sure how all of this works, but I'm pretty sure he's stalling for time. After that, another month goes by. He says, bro, I got more beats and I'll buy a beat specifically for you if that'll help. Really would like to get this squared away. This is the only feature from last year that I still don't have anything to show for, and it was my most expensive one ever. He says, I'm not quitting in this at all. I'm just digging myself out of a little hole and have to finish this other project, so I'm kind of fucked. I don't care if K bring the beat to you, so I don't have to pay more. We will get this done. Now, I'm not really sure how little that hole actually is, considering the fact that you've been sitting in it for almost a year. At this point, I really think that he's already spent the money, so he can't send it back. He's probably falling on hard times and he doesn't have enough money to get himself through, so he keeps forgetting about this over and over again, which is not an excuse by any means, don't get me wrong, but it really is sad to see that he can't deliver on an 8-bar verse for $1,000. If that other kid really did send you 3K, I really hope that you delivered on that. It really makes you start to wonder if this was a one-off thing or if this happens a lot, or if he was even lying about getting that $3,000 in the first place. Maybe he only said that to try to get more money out of this guy. I mean, how many people out there are going out of their way to try to get a feature from the Flatbush Zombies at this point? I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect them by any means. Definitely still legendary in the underground scene, but they're definitely not the first act that I think of when I think of somebody that I would want to get on a feature. And then he has the audacity after a year of not delivering, saying, any chance you could dish out some more bread for this, I'll make sure I get you something back by the 1st. And this is 5 days before Christmas, so I guess Merry Christmas to you. Couldn't you just deliver it right now as a Christmas gift? I mean, come on, dude, just deliver. Asking for extra money around the holidays when everybody's broke is kind of fucked up, but once again, I feel like this guy has his head in the clouds and he doesn't really realize what it's like to be a normal person anymore. He ends up responding, man, I really cannot. I'm scrounging and damn near in the red by the end of the week. Like, my budget for this week is literally leaving me with 20 bucks. Oh, hell no. Is there any way you can lay any vocals on any of those new Johns? Hey man, can you give me a little bit more money? No, I'm really struggling right now. I only have $20 to be able to pay for food. I'm basically starving to death. Oh, hell nah. What type of response is that? That's what you say when you see a rat in the subway, not when you're trying to talk to somebody about money. I can just imagine Juice walking down the streets of New York and seeing homeless people and being like, oh hell nah, oh hell nah. Like, what the fuck, dude? 2024 then comes to an end. He says, what's up, man, in January. After that, gets no response. Ayo, my guy. Hey, bro, it's been a year since I paid you. I didn't take vacation at work. I cashed in all my days and still had to pay more than that. Would really appreciate if you could make this right. After that, Juice goes on to share a story of him in the studio, and he responds to it by saying, people out here are way broker than you, bro. I'm about done pushing this. Either you're gonna make it right or you won't. I feel you though, man. $1,250 is definitely more important than a decade-long fan. Brother, that's not my session. That's the bad part. I don't know what that has to do with you telling me you pay me back by the end of March. So at this point, he's finally fed up and he has way more patience than me. I'd probably wait about 2 weeks before I started crashing out. An entire year is god level patience. And the final message we have is from February when he ends up texting his number and saying, is this a slow, polite robbery or what, bro? I promise you that you aren't in a worse spot than me. It's low-key offensive, man. I'm in a bad spot every day mentally, and I don't go back on my word when I have an agreement with somebody. I cashed in all my vacation time at work and still have to save more for you. You changed the price multiple times. You told me never mind and that you'd send the money back. I gave you PayPal, Cash App, and Zelle options and you still didn't. Then you acted like you were going to send some vocals instead, and then I sent you a list of links and other beats I would buy just to work with you specifically. I'm not trying to be sideways and surely you see where I'm coming from here. Please let me know how you'd like to continue. And then of course Juice doesn't respond to that until a couple days later when he says, my bad, I didn't see that. I promise I'll get your cash back in March. Alright man, when should I hit you next? And then after that he never hears from him again. It's now almost June of 2025 and he's been waiting since early 2024, so at this point it's completely disrespectful, it's uncalled for, and he needs to get him the money back. Juice, if you end up seeing this video, I don't know what's going on in your personal life. I don't know what kind of mental struggles you're going through right now, or maybe financial struggles as well. I understand that you might really need that money. In fact, you might even need more than that, but this guy only asked you for 8 bars, and then after you didn't deliver on that, he asked you to simply give him promo, which is the simplest thing in the world to do, and you didn't deliver. There's absolutely no excuse for this. That's a terrible thing to do to a fan, and I truly hope that if you end up seeing this video, you do pay him back. But besides that, dude, honestly, you're kind of a piece of shit, and I feel like a lot of people are going to lose respect for you after seeing this. And yeah, boys, that's another scammer video. I know people are getting tired of these, but when it comes to big names like the Flatbush Zombies ripping off their fans, I feel like it's really important to point out. I mean, everybody expects small-time artists to rip people off because they have nothing to lose and really no career to stand on, but when it comes to big-name artists, they gotta act differently, they gotta come correct, and unfortunately in this scenario, it didn't happen. And with all that said, let me know what you think in the comments below. This time we're gonna do something a little bit different. Instead of delete this gang, I want you guys to all say you got everything wrong. You got everything wrong gang is the new movement, so leave that in the comments, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and I will see you in the next one. And thank you to Aura for sponsoring this video. Peace out.